Hello, everyone, for joining us with our very first webinar. We are Horizon View, and we're happy to have you guys on here. To get started, we have spent the last 2 years working on perfecting the way operations and management are able to monitor and maintain their solar sites. I'm Jai Chen, your presenter. My colleagues call me Jay, and I'm in charge of all of the operations regarding product development. I started out on the team as a software developer here at Horizon View, but now I'm also responsible for streamlining the full process of Horizon View, which includes flying the sites and taking pictures to delivering the data and analysis via a software interface. This webinar is your opportunity to get to really know who we are and what we can do for you guys. So to really dive into it, what we do specifically is that we fly manned winged aircraft over utility scale solar sites, and we capture high resolution infrared and RGB images. Our equipment allows us to fly over sites and capture extremely detailed data on the panels with the infrared, so that way we can see things like hotspots or if strings are out. But also with the RGB camera, we're able to detect things like glass cracks. Once we develop the pictures and everything stitched together, we're able to use computer vision, like AI and machine learning tools, to quickly analyze and spot out any of the faults. Traditionally, we would have people just hand go through line by line in the array just to see this row has an issue. But as the sites get larger, that becomes a time constraint, and a job that should take maybe a day or two ends up taking a few weeks. So we're really thankful that we can use machine learning tools to spot out these faults. Of course, with machine learning, things aren't always perfect, so we're able to cross-reference and verify. That way we don't have any false positives. So why do we do the things that we do? As the years have gone by, solar sites have gotten more and more prevalent, and the demand for clean green energy has grown exponentially. Annual inspections are performed in order to provide accurate data for the repair data, and these inspections provide the data in order for site managers to properly maintain their sites as well as make warranty claims. So let's dive into the whole thermography thing. So why do we use thermography? Typically, you would have someone on the site, going panel by panel and analyzing each line in each array, either through just manual inspections, making sure the wiring is okay, or even using techniques like IV curve tracing. These are great techniques. I don't see any fault in them, but they are very time consuming. Typically, you will have, say, even just a 1 megawatt site that can take up to 4 to 5 hours with just manual inspections and IV curve tracing, and sometimes that can even take up to 10 hours per megawatt. So that's not too bad when you have a 1 megawatt job. That's a day's worth of work. But when you have things in the gigawatt scale, that's just unsustainable. The other issue is when you have someone on the ground, you have them just in typically a hazardous terrain. They're not the most pleasant place to be, and they have to be done during the daytime since we need to analyze these sites while they are operating. This includes putting people in an area where not only are you dealing with rough terrain, but you're also dealing with high voltage equipment, which can pose as a safety hazard. So that brings us into why we use our manned aircraft. We utilize these manned aircraft because we don't need someone on site. We're able to just fly over these sites and take our photos and do our analysis. But I'm sure the question is, why don't we use drones, right? Which, that's a valid question. Drones are a very emerging technology, and it's very efficient to use drones for aerial thermography. From the way that we see it, drones can be used for small scale sites. However, there are some constraints on that. But just as I had mentioned that you need someone on the ground to manually inspect the panels, you also need a drone operator on site to operate the drones. So they're still out there in the hot sun, maybe in a place where it's even hard to reach by car. But that doesn't mean that they're not a solution. It's always there. But we prefer manned aircraft, given that we are also able to analyze the site with the exact same amount of detail, if not more, in much less time. Typically, a drone will cover a megawatt in about 20 to 30 minutes, but we are able to cover a megawatt in as low as 5 minutes. Now, that's not a promise, but it's more of an accurate estimation based off of my own firsthand experience. So let's go over the whole thermography images. So what you can see here is that we have different kinds of faults that we've been able to spot. These are like actual photos that we've taken from our aerial coverage. Yeah, and as we've covered, there's a lot more advantages to using aerial photography rather than boots on the ground analysis. So, with that all covered, I'd like to jump into the whole what do we do after the photos? We take the photos, we process them, we analyze the faults and everything, and we point them out. But how is that delivered to you? So what we can see here would be our software. So this is essentially our deliverables. What you do is you log into your own account that we create for you, and say we go into the site here. You're greeted with the main page, the main dashboard, where you get an at-a-glance view of the entire software. So as you can see here, there's just visuals on what's going on. Everything is divided up into blocks just to see, saying oh, block 3 has, a bit more affected versus block 1, 2, or any of the other ones. If you want to get a more nitty gritty, broken down into the tables, you can view everything down here. Everything's broken down by each individual fault and how many panels are affected. And of course, every table is exportable into the format that you prefer. Moving over to here on the map overview, as I let it load. This is a more, I would say, preferred way to view the site, as it's a digital representation of what's actually going on. Now, of course, a site can't just be viewed by flying over and just saying I can totally see what's going on. But thankfully, because of our thermal imaging, we're able to actually point out real faults that may not be seen with the with just the eye. So as you can see here, we have a digital grid where each colored panel versus the gray panel is a fault. So when you click on a gray panel, that just means everything's great, but you can also see your grid position, this is block 3, group 3, row 2 to the north, 15 to the west, and everything looks great. But if we move over to these yellow panels right here, say I click on any one of these, you'll see that the pop-up window is yellow to represent the type of fault. In this case, it's a level 1 fault, and the issue here is shading. So this is a little bit more of a visual fault that you can see with the eye, but it is pointed out even in the thermal imaging. As you can see, these panels are not getting sunlight, and so they're not producing energy, and so they're a little bit cooler. But as you can see here, with say a panel here, there are hot spots, which would not be visible to the eye, and we have these marked in on the grid. Now, what can we do with the digital digital map? It's great that you can see the map, but of course you want to do a little bit more. that's where we go into the repair list. So what we do here is you have a list that you are able to create of various different dates, and say I want to add a new date. Let's do my birthday next year, right? Everyone loves their own birthday, so I'll do my birthday, add date. And what you can do is go around to this map and just click around. So let's say I wanted to add block 1's fault, so I'll click on that and I'll say add to repair list. You can proceed to just do as many as you can. And as you may have picked up, it may be tedious when you click on one at a time. You say, what about the faults right here? There's, quite a bit. I don't want to click one at a time. Well, that's where you're able to select multiple in the map and just say, you know what, give me all of the faults that are spotted in this area, and you click confirm, and it'll just start adding all of the faults to the list. And once you're done with your job, if you want to review everything, you just click on view list, and this is everything I just added, which of course can be exported. So that overall covers the entire scope of the software and basically what we do. I'll proceed to any questions that you may have. Alrighty, well, doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat, so we'll end off with just, putting the word out there. Please see us at RE Plus from September 8th to the 11th. We'll be at booth V2036. Come meet us. You can see me in person if you'd like to. But yeah, thank you for joining the webinar, and take care, everybody.